So namaste, everyone. Welcome to my home office. My name is Patti. I'm going to guide you through this yoga practice while we're all working at home and doing our meetings virtual. So first thing I'd like to do is encourage you to have a glass of water. Throughout the day, it's important that we stay hydrated. So sometimes when we're sitting in our meetings, we forget them. Hopefully you might have a pencil or a pen handy at your desk here. We're going to use that for some work, or if you have a little ball, we're going to use that also. We can adapt it. So we're going to start by making sure we're in a comfortable seated position. And when I say comfortable, I mean yogi comfortable. So for that, our joints are in line, our feet are on the floor. So start grounding the feet into the floor, rocking them side to side. And then notice down, are your ankles and your knees in line? So knees on top of ankles. And then as you look at your knees, see that they're in line with your hips. And then from your hips, move up into your shoulders and make sure your shoulders are in line with your hips. We all have a tendency to be leaning forward. So just draw yourself back and find that space to start. One of the things I want to encourage you and remind you throughout this time is to just be continually checking in with that joint alignment. Our bodies are made to stack. So then draw your awareness from here to the spine and just let everything stack. Notice as you have aligned up, you maybe have a little more core awareness. You've maybe had to engage the core a little more. That feeling of the navel kind of lifting up towards the rib cage. And then notice how that happens. You have a little bit more room in your diaphragm for breath to come in. So you may have started, your natural rhythm of breath may have just deepened a bit. And today we're going to take a little focus on the breath. One of the things that happens a lot when we're in these meetings, zoning and on the computer as we Zoom, is it becomes fatiguing to the body and the brain. So having this breath awareness, we know that it helps with our attention. So just right now, draw awareness to your breath. Just notice the natural rhythm. See if you can even start to just note inhale and notice. Just notice how, as you do that, a little more awareness comes, a little more focus. Then take a moment to just build the breath a little bit. Deepen your inhales, lengthen your exhales. Notice on the inhale, you get that little sense of energy in the body, and notice the exhale kind of softens. Then take a moment to just explore your breath, noticing how in this beautiful new alignment that you have created, there's a little more room for the breath. The body is a little more active here. You're burning few calories. Then once you build the breath up, see if you can take a nice big inhale. An inhale that feels almost as if the breath is tickling the back of the throat. And then a nice long exhale to match that, pushing all the air out. Then just come into a nice rhythm of breath that just seems to give the body enough energy, but allows you to stay seated in the chair. Then if you'd like, you can add almost this slight audible sound to the breath. In yoga, we call it ujjayi, but in this space, we would want it to be a whisper. So really, it's just audible to you. Just something to give you some. And then your challenge for the next 25 minutes is to see if you can stay in that rhythm of breath. Okay. Just settling in. Now, as we move today, know if things speak to you, you can take them deeper. If things don't, you can just let them go to the side. Maybe they'll come speak to you another day. So one of my favorite ways to just kind of get a nice full body stretch here is to take the arms out to the side, lift the arms up and overhead. You're gonna see me take the gaze up towards my ceiling, and you watch me draw my shoulder blades back and down. From here, I'm just going to reach a little more with the right, reach a little more with the left. Moving back and forth. As I'm doing this reaching, I'm trying to let the reach come from my sits bones. Letting the shoulders just kind of stay in place and let the musculature in the torso do the lifting. Couple more rounds here. Core is still nicely engaged. And then pausing, reaching equally with sides, bring the palms together and just draw them through to heart center. You're gonna pause for just a moment, noticing the length, maybe the little bit of energy you've given in the body. Then from this space, we're gonna interlace all the fingers. We're gonna reach the palms out in front, opening the palms up, curling the back, coming into a bit of a cat back, and then drawing the palms into the heart, bringing the hands back to prayer, but allowing the navel or the belly button to just pull forward slightly and the gaze to come up slightly. Just a bit of a cow back in a seated position. Coming back to neutral, we're going to interlace the fingers again, but we're going to slide them down one finger. Reach out of the back. Come on back to neutral. Find those prayer hands again. And then just that bit of a cat back. So the feeling of the navel going forward and the gaze going up. Come back to neutral. From here, just roll the hands. Releasing the wrists. And maybe just reach out with the fingers one more time. You don't necessarily have to do the rounding of the back, but if it feels good, you can. And then just shake the hands out. Shake them out. We sometimes forget too when we're sitting so much and maybe we're typing a lot or doing a lot of work with our hands, how our hands need some work too. So let's go there. So you have a couple options. If you have a pencil or a pen or even a highlighter or a ball. We're gonna, if you're using a pencil, you're just gonna try to bring the pencil through all the fingers and come back. Working on a little mobility. Try and do it a couple times. Do it at the tops and then also doing it at the bottoms of the fingers. Just notice the spaces that you're using with that. You can do the same thing with this little super ball. I love this little ball. I keep it at my desk. So you bring it between the fingers and then you take the thumb and move it into the next set, spreading the fingers wide. Moving back and forth. And then obviously going to the other hand also. While you all try to do the other hand, I'll give you some other options and things to do with your ball or your pencil. So you can always put it in between the hands, rubbing up and down the fingers. You can place it down on your table and do the same thing. Don't neglect the back part of the hand. So making sure you let it go there. If you have an opportunity to try this now, the thing I always encourage you to do when you're finished is just let the hand just rest for a moment. You'll feel the blood and the circulation moving through there in spaces. You can do the same thing with your pencil, and some of us just naturally go here to do that, sometimes even when we're cold. Same thing, you can roll the back side. The one beauty about the pencil is I love you can roll it even up and down the fingers along the outer edges. So the nice thing, if you have either this small ball, you can go to a golf ball if you want, or a tennis ball. You can do the same thing on your feet. So rolling it down and around. You'll see I actually even have here on my desk a nice little gift someone gave me one time that just goes on the floor, and you can roll your feet with that. You can find anything round and do this. A frozen water bottle is great for moving around on the feet. You can do the same thing with the little ball with the toes, putting the ball down and seeing if you can pick it up with your toes, or just squeezing the toes around it. Great way to get some movement in the feet. And then I put my scarf on today actually because it's cold, but because it's also a great tool to have as you're working here. So I've taken my scarf. This could be a hand towel. It's about the length of a hand towel here. And I'm just holding on to it very loosely with my fingers. I'm gonna reach my arms out in front, and then I'm gonna draw my arms up and overhead. I'm gonna come back and forth a couple times, just making sure space-wise here. When I did it earlier, I was a little too close. And then after a few times up, try and keep the distance and draw it back and down. I get caught in the chair here, so bear with me. And just back and forth, rolling it back and forth. Great way to open up the shoulders. Doing that for a few rounds, and then you can also take the scarf and get a nice stretch. I'm going to turn around. Hopefully I'll turn it sideways so you don't get the whole back of the chair. The scarf is in my right hand. Remember, it could be a towel, it could be a belt. I'm going to draw it back with my elbow reaching up, and then take my other hand and hold on to the scarf from here and just let myself open up. You can make this into a nice hard opener here. Couple rounds of breath. Check in. Where are your feet? Are they still on the floor? Are you still in that beautiful breath you created? And then releasing and switching hands. Taking your time here. You could do this as a yin pose too if you wanted to spend a little more time opening connective tissue, holding it for anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes. And when you're ready, letting it go. One of the reasons I love the scarf too is you can use it for your feet also. So if the legs feel like I'm attaching the scarf under my foot and getting a nice stretch, even with my shoes on. So moving to the lower half of the body for just a moment. One of the things that we all notice when we sit too much is our hip flexors get tight, right? So that space right, the femur is coming in, right in this hip crease. Always seems to get tight for people. So a couple things we can do while we're seated. Finding that nice seated position, shoulder over hips, knees and hips in line, knees and ankles in line. You're going to take your right leg and you're going to lift it up and you're going to make a figure 4 across the leg. So the shin of the right leg is resting on the quad of the left leg. You've got flexion in your feet. That means your toes are pulling back towards that knee. We want to protect the knee. You've got both sits bones evenly on your chair. You're letting that right hip open up. So you could do a couple things if you want to deepen this posture. You could just rest the right hand on that leg as if you were making almost a triangle. So the arm is coming across, the knee is above. Then if you want to even deepen it more, you could start to hinge from the hip crease and come forward. I've backed away about 3 feet from my desk, but I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to place them on the desk. Just my fingertips lightly. And I'm just pushing my sits bones back into the chair. I've got a nice long spine here. So the beauty of that is I'm kind of multitasking here. Opening up my right hip and my lower back. Shoulders relaxed. And again, this you can do just a few breaths, 3 to 5. Or if you feel like holding it longer, you could do this yin style for about 90 seconds. When you're ready to come out of it, just make sure you've got that mindful awareness of breath, core, and alignment. So out of it, you're going to keep the spine long. You're going to keep the core engaged. You're going to release the leg easily, that right leg. You're going to roll that ankle out. And you may even just bend at the knee a couple times. Bringing the foot to the floor is going to rock the right leg out. And then to keep us even, we're going to go right to the other side. So you're going to lift the left leg up. You're going to hit the knee. You're going to make that figure 4. Remember flexion in that foot. So the toes are drawing back the knee. Breathing, keeping sits bones even. The beauty of Zoom too is it's almost like we've got this mirror in front of us. You can hopefully see yourself. Then again, after a few breaths, if it feels like you want to deepen the posture, bringing the hands forward, maybe reaching for your table or desk. This is a beautiful way to explore what's going on right versus left side. For many of us, we may have this tendency when we're seated to lean a little bit more towards one side or the other. You'll notice this in a pose like this, as one side can be a little tighter than the other. And just notice this. It's not something to judge yourself about. It's just curiosity. When you notice it, it gives you the opportunity to just make a mild correction. Then remembering to come back to neutral. Gently releasing the leg. Taking that time to just roll the ankle out, point and flex the toes, wiggle them as the foot comes to the floor. Rock the foot side to side. Then always remembering that coming to standing, so important. I actually set a timer on my phone so that if I've been seated for a while, my phone will let me know to stand up. And when you stand up, letting yourself come to mountain pose. So ground down into the feet, get that core engagement, reach through the crown of the head. And then taking the opportunity when you come here to just pause for a minute, find that breath, find that alignment. Then so many things that you can do here. My chair has some wheels on it, so I'm gonna slide it forward. I'm gonna use the back of the chair to hinge at my hip crease and just come forward slightly to just lengthen my spine, stretch my hamstrings. Make sure you've got a bend in the knees when you do this. Make sure that core is engaged. Lift the navel up towards the rib cage and just notice how it feels just that much different. Then making sure when you come out, you do it with a nice flat back. One of my other favorite things to do standing is an opportunity to stretch the feet. So even with shoes on, you can do this. It's ideal if you can take your shoes off, but letting yourself come into your mountain pose. Use your chair for strength, stability, and then come up high on your toes as if you are wearing a pair of heels that has a high heel. But when you get up here, spread all the toes nice and wide. Take a few breaths here and then challenge yourself to slowly bring the heels back to the floor. You can play a little game with yourself, timing yourself, maybe starting out for 10 or 15 seconds and working your way up. Making sure that you've got a soft bend in the knees when you're here. Challenging yourself to let go with the hands. It's a great way to strengthen the ankles. Hug the inner thighs in. Breathe through it. See if you can maybe lift one hand up, then maybe the other hand. Then bringing everything back to heart center, still up on the toes. Slowly lowering the feet down. Then just back on the feet, releasing any tension. You could even turn the foot upside down and just stretch the front side of the foot. Then making your way back to your chair. Here's one of the fun ways that you can strengthen and use the chair as a prop. I'm going to slide the chair back here a little bit. You're going to find your mountain in front of the chair, making sure the chair is here, nice and tall, bringing hands to center. You're going to shift your weight into your heels. You're going to engage your core. You start to bend the knees. You're going to come down, let the sits bones touch the chair and come on back up. Chair posture with a prop, strengthening quads. This is one of my favorites to do. Challenging yourself if you want to have the arms up and out, if that feels right. Maybe working your way up to 8, 10, 15. Challenge yourself. My chair got squeaky this afternoon. And then when you finish, pausing in mountain first. Letting yourself feel the benefits of that little bit of work. And then mindfully as you can, coming back to that chair. And then noticing as you sit here in your seated mountain, maybe the subtle differences within the body. One last place we're going to go in our exploration is a twist. And the chair is an awesome place to come into twist. We have this amazing prop. So, making sure that the spine is nice and long. Chin is going to stay neutral. That means it's going to stay right here over my chest. You're going to draw awareness into the abs. To protect the lumbar spine, you're going to engage the core. Then you're going to start to draw awareness into the shoulders. And keeping the shoulders in line, you're just going to turn the shoulders over towards the right. You're going to come back to center. And then you're just turn over towards the left. Come back to center. So hopefully when we did that little exercise, you notice that the twist really came from your thoracic cavity, your rib cage. So allow yourself for this next part for it to have the same action. We get so focused sometimes on twisting that we take it just a little too far. I want you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes and do this and just not get focused on how far you're going. Turn your awareness inwards and what it feels like. So now you're going to take your right hand and you're just going to place it down along the chair, maybe holding on to the chair if that's possible. You're going to breathe a nice deep inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale. You're just going to do that slight twist over to the right again. Now, maybe the hand wants to move back towards the back of the chair just to deepen the twist a little bit, but you're still keeping the chin over the chest, and if the eyes are closed, just let the breath move you deeper into the twist. Notice how it feels from the inside out. One more breath here. Then coming back to center, you're going to do the same thing on the left side. So the left hand's going to slide along the side of the chair or the body, about the hip. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, start to drift that left shoulder back. Right shoulder stays in line. Chin is over chest. If it feels right on this side, to move that left hand back a little bit more. Keep breathing here. Then on an inhale, make sure you come back to center. Go ahead here and take a cat and a cow. So just round the back. And then drawing the breath in, you're going to bring the chin up, draw the chest forward. Then just pausing for a moment here in a bit of a mini Shavasana. We didn't have a lot of time together today, but I hope in these few minutes that we were together, that you found some benefit. Just maybe even noticing how the sensations in the body feel different. I'm so grateful to share this time with you all. I truly hope the benefits of this gentle movement practice help you to find benefit in your day. Namaste, yogis.